Hello, horror fans! This is DeathGroundReviews, the monster that devours horror, suspense, and all those things the fantastic. And today I have another book review. So this one was released as part of a creature feature on Amazon Kindle. It features 6 authors: Joe Hill, Grady Hendrix, Josh Malerman, Paul Tremblay, and Jason Mott, and Chandler Baker. All of them are quick one-sitting reads. The longest comes in at 82 minutes. I chose Joe Hill's The Pram. So The Pram tells a story about Willie and Mary Ann, a couple struggling with moving on from the grief following a miscarriage. The tragic experience has really sucked all the enjoyment out of life, particularly for Willie, who bottles up a bitter resentment about the whole ordeal, and often feels he can't express it, for fear doing so would be selfish of him. And his wife Mary Ann feels wrongful guilt about what happened, and struggles with that. One day, while taking a walk to the local grocer, Willie discovers a bridle path shaded by lines of trees. Walking this path, he feels liberated, free to safely express the true resentment he normally keeps suppressed to the back of his mind. At the local grocery store, he meets the owner, a man named Goodkind, who informs Willie that a religious group called the Covenant planted the trees along the bridle path. Doing so was partly symbolic, a ceremonial process for those who convert to the Covenant. Before one is admitted, they must cut a cross into the palm of their hand and bleed for a tree. Drain his sin into the soil, Goodkind explains. Willie is loaned an old pram that he uses for hauling his groceries along the bridle path. The path manifests itself as kind of like a funnel, absorbing all of Willie's suppressed grief and anger. During his trips along the bridle path, Willie experiences eerie indications of a baby riding within the pram, shadowy movements, baby-like cooing noises. Is it just a grieving father's daydream? Or does the bridle path hold a mysterious power of creation? I was intrigued by how Willie grows more and more preoccupied by the bridle path. He begins to crave being there. It becomes this process of expiation, a sacrament, I guess you could call it. There's definitely a strong religious theme Hill is trying to express here. You get a sense it's a negative one, a mistrustful one. The theme seems to suggest religion as a greedy, corrupt entity, feeding into people's fears and griefs for the purpose of control and manipulation. The story is also about emotions and the destructive power they can have. This theme I more personally identified with. Emotions have a price, a monstrous price in the case of this story. I must say Joe Hill is gifted with descriptive language. Everything he describes of the setting blooms in my mind's eye like a colorful, delicious buffet of images. I saw so clearly the long stone walls bordering neglected farmland, hordes of butterflies fluttering like confetti. This was my favorite descriptive passage, a description of the bridle path. Their branches curved above him like the blackened ribs of some monstrous creature, the ancient bones of a beached megalodon. Wow, that description sets the tone and mood so well. You get this immediate sense of something menacing possibly lurking beneath the surface. So I must be honest, though, I didn't like Willie. I found his ingratitude, resentment, and emotional suppression disgusting and off-putting. I couldn't connect with him. I felt more willing to emotionally connect with Marian. I felt sympathy for the wrongful guilt she felt and her desire to make matters better. But maybe it wasn't Hill's intention for me to like Willie, and I didn't need to like him to enjoy the overall story, partly because of the shorter form. There's less investment I need to make with the characters. And the premise, this, like many horror stories, is about the cost we pay for the baser, weaker aspects of our natures. Overall, The Pram is a fun horror story. It's a well-used premise that feels fresh and unique in Joe Hill's creative hands. I recommend it. And that concludes my review. This is DeathGroundReviews, the monster that devours horror, suspense, and all those things the fantastic. I'll see you next time, horror fans.